that they were in France.
Such a typical American thing to do. Sorry for that.
No, it's during the First World War.
Oh,
And then they realised that they were really popular, so brought the idea back to the States.
they might have known that just more French fries have more of a ring to them.
Freedom Prize. There's a music going.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us know when the music stops. Or are you going to use your maniacal powers?
I would like some freedom fries. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Freedom Fries with garlic mayo. You join me from the Stevenage Convention Centre, live from the UK's top 50 convention centres, number 51, we're nearly there, to announce the world premiere reveal of the Beerumverate's very own no-gen gaming console. The Beer Station Series Y Switchbox console may be coming to you soon. People sometimes say to me, McWomble, I'm thinking about the future. And I say to them, don't think about the future because you're already living it. The future is now. We at the Beerumverate every week try and bring you some form of content that maybe a handful of people might enjoy. And it's with that kind of perseverance and intellectual nous that we've developed the Beer Station Series Y Switchbox. With our proprietary storage device of 4.25-inch floppy disk drive, we're going to bring you experiences and content like you've never seen before. We know from you, the fans, how you want to experience games in the 20s, not the 1920s, the 2020s. And that is being able to play your favorite content wherever you are on whatever device available. That is why I keep forgetting the name of the console. The Beer Station Series Y Switchbox will be a home console, but syncing it up to your Apple device only, screw you Android users, you will be able to play games from your home by removing the casing of the console and screwing your phone into it to then take with you because it needs a phone signal to work. It's also from our field testing and focus testing work, we know that from you, the fans, backwards compatibility is really important. That is why the Beer Station Series Y Switchbox will be fully backwards compatible with the Nintendo Game Gear and the Microsoft Dreamcast, because we have no exclusive content at this time. Probably never. Thank you. Applause.
I mean,
I wish that I could have known about that. Otherwise, I would have put applause in parentheses. In the bottom.
We needed some Bethesda fanboys, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I question whether you're in a convention centre in Stevenage. I don't think they have a convention centre. I think you're down the pub with a green screen, really.
or just sat in my front bedroom.
Yes.
Right. We are the Beerumverate. We are a group of guys who like talking about good beer and video games. We are not here to promote Storm Dennis. Storm Dennis is doing enough promotion of himself. And please storm Dennis responsibly. Why do people, when kind of send weather presenters out to all these horrible places and just stand in the pissing rain? Can you tell me how wet it is outside? Yes, it's terribly wet here, Bob. Yeah.
Do you think they do that just on the off chance that something crazy happens and it gets put on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah, it will be all right on the night.
It's like, oh God, I really hope Liz gets blown away today.
Yeah, I really hope that massive wave comes over the sea defences and sweeps them into the Atlantic. Right, disclaimer, don't drink too much. It's not worth it. You can cause yourself harm.
If nothing more than a serious headache the next day.
Yeah.
We don't gale forces than a British storm.
Yeah. We don't actually have our own video game console. That was just a bit of fun. So if anyone was waiting to pre-order, because you probably didn't, our viewership probably realised that it wasn't a real reveal because there was no pre-order announcement.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But, I mean, I'm sure all of those people that would buy it would be out of money because they've already been suckered into buying Stadia.
I mean, we could just do what Sony and Microsoft are doing, and that is holding off on revealing any price or dates or anything, and then just hitting people when they actually go to their electronics store and saying, "We need your credit card now because we know that you want this, and it's just going to charge for whatever." You don't actually know how much it's going to cost you.
Yeah, we'll charge you an amount.
Oh.
But we're here to talk next gen. And aspects of the next gen that we may not actually like or be that interested in, but people are making a big deal about. So, who would like to go first?
Awesome.
Don't all raise your hands at once. Okay, is it me then?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go first. One thing about next gen that I'm not fussed about, backwards compatibility.
This is one of my features that I think needs to be there.
Yeah. Well, when you say backwards compatibility, how much backwards compatibility do you mean?
Well, what Phil Spencer's recent interview where he was talking about backwards compatibility, and he said they tested over 400 original Xbox and 360 titles that will work on the series there. But the thing is, I can't remember what I was reading, but the article was saying it might have been on PlayStation, but the PlayStation put out some figures, or someone put out some figures saying hardly anyone actually uses the backwards compatibility. So why are people making it such a big deal when mainly I'm interested in one step back. We are interested in technology. Technology is a fast-moving sector where everything has to be new, now. And you're talking about, well, you can play something from 20 years ago if you want.
I think it's important because that's a huge segment of what they're selling us these days. They're just repackaging old shit and selling it to us again.
Yeah.
So,
but then why would Capcom remaster Resident Evil 2? Why just not re-release it again?
That was a remake.
That's a remake.
Yeah.
You know? It's different, switching from like very, very archaic controls.
Yeah, but if Matt's talking about that's the whole point. Why go to all the effort of doing it when people are only interested in playing old stuff, which I don't understand.
Let's put it this way: if the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox had come out, and from the onset, like say you could play the original Resident Evil 2 through backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 4, like I still think there would be reason to remake that game. Like by comparison, I mean they already remade the first game once, and that was for a system that could have played the original edition of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge interest in just being able to do it, whether or not people take full advantage of those features, in the interest of, being able to preserve these games and having a new system, newer hardware that can still play these games is it's a lot more accessible than trying to find an original Xbox that still works. I guess
it seems like more of a sales gimmick than an actual compelling proposition to me. Because, example, when I bought my Xbox 360, it said, well, backwards compatible with the original Xbox. So I looked up some games on the original Xbox that got good reviews, or didn't, and just looked like fun. And I bought Stubbs the Zombie. And I played that for probably 15 minutes and never touched any backwards compatible games again. And the reason that I haven't gone and bought a Xbox One S X Series B AC/DC version is because they haven't got any good exclusive games. And if I can play everything third party on my PlayStation and get exclusive games that Sony Interactive Entertainment are actually putting out, that's more compelling than being able to, I know it's a slight blasphemy, buy a fucking Xbox just to play Mass Effect Trilogy again.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I feel you there.
I'm personally really interested in possibly buying a Series X and switching over from Sony, partially because I invested a lot of money in the PS1 classics on the PS3, and those are just sitting on my account. I can't do anything with them. But
yes.
You know, like I was telling Liam before we got on, I found a copy of Dragon Age Origins for the 360, just chilling in my entertainment cabinet, and
he's just sitting there chilling. Cup of coffee.
Yeah, I was
cigarette.
like, I
remember when I used to be a great franchise.
But
then what do you do? Dragon Age 4 comes out, and you're not going to play it. You're going to play Dragon Age 4.
I guarantee you.
No,
I guarantee
Keith,
my wife
it's going to be
will play Origins.
The Witcher effect.
Yeah, but
the Witcher effect. You'll want to play Origins again because you enjoyed the new game so much. I'm lying. I don't even believe what I'm saying. No,
I saw some footage on highlight reel this week of the original Witcher game. Oh my god, that is ugly as fuck.
It was.
It looks terrible.
Just the expressions on Geralt's face.
There wasn't an expression. His face was just made up of triangles.
You sure? He like does this thing where his face just goes out.
It's really just like gross. He had a series of triangles on his face.
It's a very ugly game.
Yeah, so you're not going to be you're not going to persuade me on the basis of we've got 400 backwards compatible games to play. Okay, great, whatever.
Well, my view on the subject is
where's the new stuff?
Well, and that's the thing too. Is sorry to cut you off, Liam.
No, please. You deserve it, Matt.
But do you know what? Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you to apologise for interrupting you. I showed my wife a bit of one of the other shows that we've done, and she told me off again for interrupting you. It's like, you need to let Matt talk. So I apologise for interrupting you to say that I've been told to let you talk now.
So where Microsoft wins on the new stuff is Games Pass. So not only can I dig through,
but it doesn't have any Microsoft exclusive content. So what's the point?
Though. They've got Obsidian.
In 2 years' time,
in Exile. They've got they've got studios now that I care about. Western
the future
studios.
is looking pretty promising.
And honestly,
and
if I can dig through the bargain bins and find copies of Kingdoms of Amalur and Dragon Age Origins and the Mass Effect trilogy, and I can play those on the new system, and I spend, what is it, $10 a month for Games Pass? 10 or 15?
12. Yeah, $12.99 I think it is.
Okay, $15 a month, let's say, and just get all the latest games. I don't have to go out and spend $60.
But you will have to spend, because there will be its terms and conditions apply. It's not all the latest games that you'll get straight away on Game Pass.
Well, no, but
the ones that we've entered into contractual arrangements
a good swath of them. I mean, there's been enough
Yeah.
recently where I was like, wow, if I had just paid that, I wouldn't have had to go out and buy it or whatever, you know. So I think it's a better value proposition for me personally. Just the type of gamer that I am.
I feel a bit like that. But okay, getting back to my point, you're talking about something different now.
Sure.
So don't change the subject. So we're talking about backwards compatibility, not Game Pass. So Game Pass is a really good value proposition, but again, I don't have enough money to buy a Series X and a PS5.
Yeah.
So if there's God of War 2, now I know you last time you managed to push Mitch's angry button when you said God of War, fuck that shit. Because Mitch swore twice in the same sentence to shout you down on that one. But you've got God of War 2, Spider-Man 2, the next Horizon Zero Dawn, whatever that might be called. You can't get that on your Series B52.
Right.
So
I don't think I'm going to play those games.
But you can play 400 old games.
Yeah.
I don't want to play 400 old games. I want to play new stuff.
I mean, my personal view of the matter is I mean, we only have a select amount of money to play like as many new games. I mean, the older I get, the less time I have to play games. And yeah, I get the fact that new games is like what's most important. You know, you always want the new games rather than to replay the old games. But it's I get what you mean, Keith, when you say that backwards compatibility isn't a feature that we need. Like, I kind of agree with that, but it is something that I want personally. Mainly because I can't think of something that's more pro-consumer, and quite honestly, we could do with a little bit more of that, especially on PlayStation. I mean, having access to a gigantic library of games that I already own on PlayStation 3, well, I want that, so I can throw away my PlayStation 3, and so I have access to all of those games that I've already bought. And I also want the option to play them if I want to, you know. I'm not saying that I will get around to playing them, but it sure is nice to have the option. I can't think of anything more pro-consumer, to be honest. And it is true as well. I do think it is important saving those games in a strange sort of way. Like just safeguarding them, making sure they're always there. Not letting them sort of fade into nothingness and disappear from, I guess, the public conscience.
Yeah, I mean, I get the argument for the exclusives, and I understand people that are definitely going to want to be able to play Spider-Man 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and God of War 2 and Uncharted 5, Last of Us Part 2. Like, Sony does have a nice stable of games upcoming that is enticing enough for a lot of consumers, but for me personally, I like the exclusives that I'm playing are Nintendo these days. I liked Uncharted 4, but I was more impressed with it than I thought I was going to be, but
The Lost Legacy is better.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of have my fill of that.
Uncharted 4 is a letdown in my opinion.
So I don't know. That's me personally. That's sort of where my taste.
Another feature. Sorry, I've just forgot. My PR department just reminded me. One of the special features of the Beer Station Series Y Switchbox is that it won't ever play any fucking Yakuza games.
Sega can release other games for it though.
Yeah, it's hardwired into the chipset. That if you try and load a Yakuza game onto it, it will just burst into flames.
Does it have an adverse effect though, where you try to play Sleeping Dogs, and it gets all confused?
No, you don't. play Sleeping Dogs on it, and it's like, wow, this shit's awesome. But this is where the idea of backwards compatibility as well. So I've bought some old games, but I've rebought them because I still don't own a copy of Jedi Star Wars Jedi Outcast.
Right.
But I bought it for, I think it was $4.99 on the PSN store. So if you've got people who are remaking things, and you've got GOG as well.
Yeah.
So there are other outlets where you can get access to older game titles. And you've got the Nintendo Online, where you get a choice selection of shitty old Nintendo games every now and then that then get taken away.
Still not Donkey Kong Country.
I don't really use the online multiplayer features. I don't play Splatoon 2 or Mario Kart or any of that stuff. But I have all 4 of those apps installed: the NES, the Famicom, the Super Famicom, and the Super NES Classic. I mean, I do play those games.
Yeah. So you've got other outlets to do it. So the thing that confuses me is about the backwards compatibility as a selling point is you're putting a significant amount of resource into something that we know very few people use, and 2 isn't really going to move the medium forward in any way.
No, but it will celebrate the medium that's come before.
You and your fucking logic.
Well, there's that, and I think honestly, it's a step towards a fully engrossing ecosystem, right? Like it's not necessarily about the machine.
Are we playing GameSpeak bingo as well? Because we've had content, ecosystem, experience.
It's true though. Like they're building. They're building a walled garden. Microsoft's always been about that.
Yeah.
But also another aspect of it is, I think this is probably one of the better points is no more bloody remasters. You know, those games are all there now. You don't need to port them to the next system because they're all there. You know, you don't have to devote development resources to retooling all of these old games to suit a new system because they're all there, which means it's more developers devoted to creating more new games that we have to figure out how to find time to play. But also as much as I think you're sort of right in that we don't require this feature. I think it would be nice to have it personally because I would go back and play all of the Ratchet and Clank games personally. If PlayStation had it, I would go back and play Infamous. I would go back and play Folklore. Just a bunch of old PlayStation 3 games that I really like, and I would rather replay some of those really good games that I hold strong memories with than go through my back catalogue on the current system, to be honest.
Okay, so drawing a line. It's not enough for me to buy a Series X. It's not a selling point at the moment. I want compelling new IP or something new from Microsoft to get me to want to play. I'm not a Sony fanboy or anything because I had a 360 and I swapped to Sony because Microsoft weren't bringing out any exclusive games and Sony brought out exclusive games that I wanted to play. So for me, that's where my sensibility lies.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
I'm going to do it anyway. Because your sort of points are focused on Xbox mainly. How would you feel about if because you're already going to buy a PlayStation 5, right? Eventually. I am as well. I'm sort of immersed in that system. But how would you feel if, because this is where I'm coming from, sort of, even though I already enjoy Xbox backwards compatibility, if they announced that they were going to have backwards compatibility for all of the previous PlayStation systems in the PlayStation 5, how would you feel about that? And would you regard that as a big deal in terms of a new feature? for that system.
Well, since I didn't have a PS3, I might think about playing some of the older PlayStation games, but I've already got a backlog. I don't need a bigger backlog.
You could never have a bigger backlog.
So yeah,
I mean,
like you said, it's. Are you too familiar with Moscow? Not the place, the acronym.
No.
So it stands. So Moscow: must have, should have, could have, won't have.
Okay.
So to me, it's being backwards compatibility is being pushed by Microsoft as if it's a must-have, and I really don't think it is. I don't even think it kind of hovers on that border between should have and could have.
Well, I would come from the opinion that it's a should have for me, because I'm the consumer. I already own a bunch of those games, and I should be able to access them if I want to. That's a should. From a consumer perspective, I think all systems should have that. I shouldn't have to go and buy an old PlayStation 3 or an old Xbox to play those games. I should be able. They should do the work that will, in totality, not really cost them that much money compared to the amount of money that they're going to make.
This is a new problem. It's not the historic one, because you can, if you went from a SNES to an N64, you couldn't bring that library of games with you. You just had to have the console. So I don't.
It is.
I see this as.
It is a new problem, and it's directly entangled to the fact that we have these accounts and these digital games that we don't physically own. Like, you should be able to carry that catalog forward if you're gonna keep me in this.
But isn't that what Steam's for?
But it's a technology thing. Like, they can have all of these games on one architecture now. If they
Don't you tap the desk at me.
If they spend enough money, I didn't even know you could pick that up. But if they want to, they can easily spend enough money to guarantee that all of these games are on these systems.
Yeah, I would happily buy a PS5 if they announced that all of PlayStation games would work on this new system.
Yeah, I think me being a consumer, I think I should actively encourage them to do things like that, because I can't think of anything more pro-consumer than having access to all of that.
So digital films.
Mm-hmm.
So if you buy something, say on PlayStation Store, you can play that across multiple devices. So what we're really talking about is physical.
I guess. I think
we're spending far too much time talking about this. You two don't agree with me. I'm not fussed either way. It's not going to convince me to buy a new console. Let's move on.
All right, are we going to talk about Octo-Ks now?
We've moved on from the flops. No one cares about teraflops anymore.
Nope.
So, Matt, is it the thing that we don't need is 8K?
I still have a 1080p TV. Like, until that thing officially dies, like, I'm not buying a new TV. So, the 4K gaming and all that stuff doesn't really appeal to me. I am interested to see what type of like processing and computing power are in these things to do like the ray tracing and the particle effects and some of the stuff that makes the environments and things more lush and feel more alive. So I think that's something we'll see in the next generation.
But specifically, people trying to sell you 8K or even 4K is something you're not overly fussed with.
No. In fact, the Digital Foundry had a video where they showed Control being played on a top-of-the-line CRT TV or CRT monitor, and it looked absolutely amazing on an old-school CRT.
I've just started playing that.
Yeah.
And literally, first boss fight, it was... And then the frame rate came back. Something else. Started playing Astral Chain. The music in that, flipping brilliant.
A lot of people have said that.
Oh, God, there's so many good Switch games and not enough time to play them all.
Yeah, and you only get those in 720p, not 4K, definitely not 8K.
Right.
Well, I mean, if it was on a bigger screen, it would probably, really great on you because they run at 1080 on
I don't know.
TV
Some of the backgrounds in Fire Emblem Three Houses, not very good. If it was in 4K, it would probably look really bad.
I feel like the EA symbol's burning its way through the back of my head. Insidiously telling me to go and buy more Apex coins.
Hey, you don't play enough FIFA Ultimate Team, buddy.
I bought the season pass for Apex Legends Season 4. Then I
they'll always want more.
I might have to revoke your gamer card.
I had a wash afterwards. Does that count?
It helps. It helps.
Yeah. To announce, at some point, Evan will be playing Apex Legends because he's a man of his word. We'll find out if he's a man of his word. In order to allow him to carry on talking about Yakuza, he had to play some Apex Legends. He's not even downloaded it yet.
No,
he's trying to see if I forget about it. I'm like an elephant. I won't.
To be honest, I won't forget about it either. I want to see that happen. Sorry,
right. But is 8K being pushed as much? Because everyone seems to have kind of left 8K by the wayside, and everyone's talking about ray tracing now.
Keith, if you were to ask me about a feature that I couldn't care less about on next-gen consoles, it would be 8K. It's pointless.
Did you just coordinate ahead of time and then just thought, let's just annoy Keith by agreeing with one another and then being contrary to everything that he says?
Oh, well, I mean, we're in agreement here, are we not, Keith? About 8K?
Yeah. It's pointless.
It is.
It's absolutely pointless.
Now, I personally, I imagine there are some 8K TVs out there that look fantastic, wonderful, right? Is it worth my time? Probably not. Like, I've already gone out of my way and bought a couple of 4K Blu-ray discs. Fantastic. I've really enjoyed watching both of those films, like Detective Pikachu and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Both look great on 4K TV. But at the same time, they'll make the excuse that they need to charge another £20 for these brand new discs. They're amazing. The technology is incredible. 8K is twice the pixel data of 4K, essentially. Right. But we're getting to that point where the amount of pixel data there really, like, it does improve the picture, but not in a way that is like going to change the way we exist, like going from standard definition to HD or anything like that.
Because 1080p is looks, what? 2 million pixels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and 1080p is full HD essentially.
Yeah,
and then 4K is 4 times
8
that
million
amount.
pixels.
Yeah.
So 8K is what?
And the thing with video games, mostly, Keith, it is the fact I don't want 8K. Like, I would rather just have a game that runs at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
And looks fucking fantastic in 4K. It's like that's enough for me. I don't need to play a game in 8K. I can't even afford an 8K TV.
Well, if you've got a spare $3,000.
No, I don't. And if I'm a sensible person, I would hope that I'm sensible enough in 5 years' time when 8K TVs are more down in price. I hope I'd be sensible enough to just stick with the TV I've got instead of pumping a bunch more money into some corporation to buy a TV that's only moderately better.
Yeah, I've only got a 1080p TV.
Well, you seem happy with that.
It works. One of the problems that I've got is the black definition's really bad, and you get terrible ghosting.
HDR on top of that.
Yeah, so so when I buy a TV, it's not going to be an 8K one because one, I can't afford it, and two, what's the point? I might as well just get a decent 4K one with HDR.
Exactly.
Because from looking at footage in store, so on a display screen, the demonstrable difference between the picture quality and color was HDR. The color density that you can get from an HDR display is way better. So I don't. Again, 8K isn't on my list of must-have, should-have, could-haves.
Well, you know what you should do, Keith?
Buy a new TV.
Well, if you can wait, you should maybe just wait until some of the OLED 4K TVs come down in price.
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm doing.
A beautiful OLED TV that will probably look better than most 8K TVs in LED.
Yeah, I mean, I think our TV in the living room is probably 9 or 10 years old at this point. Anything that I can buy in the store today is going to be measurably better than the TV that's hanging on my wall. Right? The cheapest TV that I can find in the store available right now is 10 years newer than what I have, so it's going to be measurably better, no matter what the resolution or any of that is.
So what are we saying about 8K that's pointless then? Is it that the compute power should be put into doing something different?
Yeah.
Or
it's everything though, Keith. It's all of those points. It's like a 4K definition is just fine. Like, and we should save some of that computing power to make innovations in other spaces. You know, make faster gameplay, make more interesting AI scenarios. Try to do something innovative that we don't expect.
Yeah.
Instead of making it a slightly higher resolution than 4K, just simply for the purpose of
having a bigger number.
Cleaner? Yeah, bigger number. That's essentially it. That's what it boils down to. I don't want to see that. And not to mention, I don't even care about 8K media. Like, I mean, this is especially the problem for America, is like, you know, the internet speed problem remains a problem through most of the first world. Like, and now we're supposed to be able to stream 8K movies. Like, I mean, I'm fine with just streaming 4K movies.
Yeah, I mean,
do we have to?
That shit's not going to happen if I still have a data cap, you know?
Exactly. This is just over the top. We've only just hit 4K. Why is everybody going like, oh, 8K, it's the next best thing? It's like, no, it's just a higher number. Get over it.
Yeah, and this is where I think ray tracing HDR will improvements in contrast, lighting, and what am I thinking about? Depth perception. That's the. So how far can you push that detail out?
Yeah.
Well, Keith, an interesting.
And just
point
making better maps.
An interesting point. Oh, sorry. I was just saying, an interesting point is things don't become more photorealistic because the resolution is suddenly bumped up to 8K.
Right.
It's made more realistic by the technology like that's put into these games. You know, like HDR or ray tracing. You could actually create a more photorealistic image from that. That's innovative.
Yeah.
I mean, the human eye can't even see in 4K.
Yeah, and then Insomniac won't get accused of lying because they can actually put that extra puddle in the next Spider-Man game.
It's all right. They've been bought by Sony, right? So, sorry.
Hello, Mr. Barker. If your parcel is ready to be collected.
I forgot my thought. You guys can talk.
No, we want you to say something. Now's your time.
I've been talking too much.
Right. What else? So you've both agreed on 8K.
Yeah.
But you can't both have the same thing. You have to have something else.
Do we think that there's going to be any revolution in controls? Paddles.
Yeah, we'll be controlling them with our minds.
Well, if Elon Musk has anything to do with it, absolutely. But I think that's still at least 2 years out.
Another announcement. The Beer Station Series Y Switchbox is only going to be using motion controls because we know how much you, the fans, love them.
They must be basing it off of old women that used to play on the Wii.
That's our core demographic.
It's only going to have one game, bowling.
Yeah, and darts.
Not squash.
No, that's too energetic. Can't play squash with a beer in your hand. Another thing that I'm not keen on in terms of next gen is multiple variations at launch.
I agree with that.
Okay, so I'm sort of on both sides. I'm not keen on multiple variations either, but I think hopefully these new systems, they're going to be close enough to PCs that you will have some options in the games to be able to adjust settings and whatnot if you want to.
Well, when I was looking down the list of options on control, and most of them are visual ones, like turning. If you want to play it, you can turn all of the HUD off,
right?
Same as you could on Horizon Zero Dawn. But it wasn't much more than that. There wasn't a thing that I could turn on to stop the frame rate from tanking during fights. Or I died and the frame rate tanked when the game reloaded back to the spawn point.
You playing on a regular PlayStation 4?
No. I've got
PlayStation 4 Pro, and it's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was bad when I played it. So
I'm surprised because Evan didn't seem to have that big of an issue with it when he played.
Well, he's obviously playing on the version that you get.
Yeah.
He sort of bought the same version of the game that you might buy. So, when everyone has any problems, no, I didn't have any. So I understand having. So you're going kind of pro-consumer by saying, we're going to rag on Microsoft a bit more.
Okay.
So you're saying we're pro-consumer by going backwards compatible, but then you're confusing them by having multiple different versions of the same console.
Well,
but we don't know what that is yet.
I don't get the point of Lockhart, which is supposed to be their like low-end model of the Xbox Series X.
Well, it's going to be a slightly beefed up version of the One S,
or
isn't
X.
it?
Well,
One X.
yeah, no, it'll probably be equivalent to the One X, just without the
a disk drive.
And
Well, it has less teraflops, but it confuses people because the One X has 6 teraflops and the so-called Lockhart would supposedly have 4 teraflops. But the difference is...
So it's a beefed up version of the
SAD.
Well, no, it
Xbox
isn't.
One
It would probably be on the same power level as the Xbox One X because teraflops are confusing.
So if you were to stop talking and actually listen to what I was saying, it's a beefed up version of the Xbox One SAD.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
There you go. Well done. Thanks for listening.
Does it not have a disk drive?
I thought they were saying the rumours are that Lockhart is going to be a diskless.
I don't know about that.
I think it is.
Oh God, that's dreadful.
But
what's the point?
I don't know.
How much more does a disk drive cost?
Well, I think
if a disk drive could drive disks,
I think part of it is some of the shift towards streaming, right? Because is it the Now, Xbox Now or whatever, or no, PlayStation Now is the streaming for them.
Azure, but they'll come up with a different name for that.
Whatever their streaming name is, right? Like their service.
Azure. I just told you. You're not listening to me either.
Azure.
Why not even fucking bother?
I'm sorry. It's the EA logo behind you. I just don't want to listen to you.
But,
I wish I had Andrew Wilson's money.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically...
you could fund Mass Effect yourself.
Theoretically, you're buying a diskless system because you're going all digital and you've got a great internet connection. So you'll be able to stream games at a decent resolution and speed. so that the performance of that, you won't need as many teraflops and processing power because it'll be all be being done in the xCloud.
What's the point though? I can get Stadia. Okay, you can't get Stadia, but example, I could get Stadia, and I could just buy the game on there. Then I don't need a stupid box to stream anything.
Yeah, I mean, if they ever finally,
if Amazon came along and were actually intelligent about releasing a streaming service,
well, according to
Google,
according to Pachter, they are. Like, they'd be stupid not to enter into that space.
Exactly. I mean, listen, Nvidia just put out GeForce Now, which is supposed to basically be a better version of Stadia.
Yeah, and Activision pulled all of its games.
Yeah, they signed a deal with Google a few weeks earlier, which people seem to have forgotten, which I imagine would... well, there'd be a clause in that contract, meaning they can't have their games on another streaming service, I would imagine. But because all of a sudden, now that GeForce Now is a success, well, Google will be like, oh, no, we can't have you put in competition on this other streaming service.
I thought Google would have more likely gone, GeForce Now works. What the fuck have we done? Someone get the tech team on the phone.
What went wrong when they hired Phil Harrison?
I don't understand what the hell happened between when I was in the beta and when it released. I mean, other than the fact that they confused everybody with the marketing and forced them to tried to force people to buy into this $150
Founders Edition.
Founders Pack or whatever the hell it was.
Edition. Again.
Yeah, I mean, Odyssey ran perfectly fine on my Samsung Chromebook 3, which has like virtually no processing power, and my PC, and I was on Wi-Fi and it was fine. Like I had no issues with that. So I don't understand all the issues with Stadia now. Like, what the hell did they do to fuck it up so bad from the beta?
Phil Harrison.
Maybe. I don't know.
So we're getting on to something else, which is local streaming using your next-gen console.
Yeah.
It's basically what do they call it? Console streaming?
Yeah. So your console will act as...
A remote play, sorry.
Remote play. So, yeah, that's PlayStation's absolutely garbage service. It's barely playable. And I've got decent Wi-Fi, and I'm running it from my PlayStation, which is in the same room, to either my iPad or my laptop, and the games are just barely playable. It is awful, the quality.
Shit.
So they would have to do something rather drastic to get that working better. I probably could sign up for the Microsoft Azure trial, but
I signed up to that yesterday because now they're starting to allow Apple users to test it. xCloud, I believe.
Yeah, the dregs of society have finally been allowed access.
Yes.
But so the local streaming service, rather than having it from a data center however many hundreds of miles away, seems like a good notion. But my experience thus far has been so terribly disappointing that I'd have to see a marked improvement to give it anything other than 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, Steam is the same way. Their remote play option, because they have an app that you can download for Android, and you can stream it to other devices that are running a Steam client, and it's not much better than PlayStation's. I don't think that's the future. I mean, honestly, the Google Stream beta that I was in was a better experience than me trying to stream something from my PC to my TV, using the Steam, whatever the hell Steam calls it.
Doesn't that say it all though? Like, you can respect what Microsoft are trying to do if they're going to make a diskless version of the Xbox One X, but less powerful. It's just like I like having the choice. I like having multiple choices. I think cloud technology is unproven. I don't want a edition of the console that can only do things digitally because I like having the option. I don't see the point in it. It's not a low end model because it's a less effective model because it can't do half of the things that the better model can do. Therefore, I think it's rendered pointless. It's a niche object. It's of no use to me. The only thing it will probably do that's not a good thing. The only thing that it will do by being on the market is possibly slow down innovation because they'll have to cater to the system that's less powerful. I imagine they'd want every game that's available on the Xbox One X to run on the Lockhart or Xbox Series
they've said
S
that all of the games, all of the Zero exclusive titles that Microsoft are putting out will all run on the family. There you go. There's another one for bingo. Console family. So it will run on the original Xbox. It will run on everything. But your ability to experience the content is going to be drastically different. Drastically different. Because if you're playing, could you imagine trying to play something like Cyberpunk 2077 on a OG Xbox One?
I might end up playing it on the original PS4. So we'll see.
Dude.
Yeah, but that's better than the original Xbox.
I mean, I suppose if you're not buying it at launch,
that's really weird. Seeing my lips through the glass like that, distorted.
So, getting back
to, I'm just going to do that for the rest of the show. It's going to look really weird, but I don't care.
Getting back to something Liam was saying, I do disagree with you about the Lockhart. I think that's instead of it, I wouldn't say that it's a niche product. I would say that it's a casual product, right? This is for everybody that is going to buy a new console to play Fortnite and Apex Legends and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's a more simple version of that. Just sticking with your Xbox One.
Right.
Like, or just buying Stadia. Using Stadia. It comes off the tongue like I'm saying something disgusting. But if you want to play Fortnite, you can. I'm pretty sure it's on GeForce Now. I could just play it on GeForce Now. What's the point? Like, this super casual person was like, no, I need to own it on the next Xbox because it's less powerful than all of the other ones, but more powerful than that one. And it doesn't play discs. I just wanted to own it.
It doesn't make sense for us. I agree with you on that point.
I don't think it makes sense for anyone.
I mean, I don't know. I think people will walk into the store and they'll be like, "What's the cheapest Xbox that you have on the shelf right now?" And it's going to be that one.
Does it play Fortnite?
Yeah. You know.
I also wanted to point out that I just don't like Microsoft's stance in general with having all of their games available on the last generation of consoles and the new generation. The point is to put your games out on your new system that can do all of these incredible things that the old systems couldn't do. We're 8 years removed from that technology now. The point is moving forwards and bringing out games that are tailor-made to the new systems and not held back by the old ones. And if you don't own the console, that's too bad. Like, you can own it in a few years when you save up enough money for it. But the point is moving forwards.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that, Liam, you are a rampant hypocrite because you were disagreeing with me about backwards compatibility. And yeah, you've just said, look at all these games and how good they look on the new consoles.
But that's the point, is why not both? I can have all of the backwards compatibility with all of the new.
But then what's the point in having... Anyway, I'm whatever.
I did bring up controllers, and we totally skipped that entirely. Do you guys want to talk about that at all?
With controllers,
Well,
do you have a point of something you don't appreciate in the new controllers or something?
Well, no. I mean, I think paddles are going to play more of a role, and I think being able to configure your control scheme is going to be a bigger thing moving forward.
One thing that I've been seriously considering at the moment is buying the adapter for the DualShock.
Oh, yeah.
Because some of the things I've been playing recently, mainly Apex Legends, I find having to use the face buttons to do certain actions less intuitive than being able to just kind of flick a paddle on the bottom. Right. And it also means that you don't have to stop moving at the same time.
Right.
So if I'd have to actually take my thumb off the right thumbstick and stop looking around to be able to press the face buttons when I could just use a paddle. So I think paddles, yes.
Well, it would be nice if the new controllers just have all of that stuff built in from the offset.
Right. I think it will.
Because I mean, I don't really play that many games that would really benefit from. For God's sake, what do they call it, Keith? The
Pro controller.
No, the addition to the PlayStation 4 controller that you were considering buying.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. It's little round thing that sticks on the bottom of your controller and adds a few extra inputs that you can use.
Well, it doesn't give you the ability to put in extra inputs. You can remap any button on the DualShock to it,
which is really cool.
You know, whereas the Xbox Pro controller, it allows you to remap, but I think you can actually, I don't know, if you can actually add inputs onto it, or if it's just a remapping tool.
That I'm not sure.
I think you can remap everything on Xbox, can't you? It's like built into the OS, I think. Yeah, which is really cool. Like, actually, all of that stuff comes with because Microsoft have been doing that whole scheme for helping disabled people play games.
Right.
So they have all of those adaptive controllers. That stuff's really awesome.
I saw something on the news recently. There was a young lad who'd lost his lower part of his left arm in an accident, and they'd someone had built him a new controller so that he could use his prosthetic hand on one side, and he had access to the face buttons, and it had paddles underneath, so he had, as opposed to just having the thumbstick and 4 face buttons and 2 triggers, he had another 3 paddles underneath, so he could actually do additional inputs all on one hand, and then the other one was just for kind of moving and making a single button input. So good on them. Anything like that is really cool, because we don't. The whole point about I think the one great thing that Microsoft are doing is allowing everyone into the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
So they're trying to be as accessible as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
So that's why they're talking about we want all the games to be playable across all the consoles. Okay, some of them will run like garbage and look like shit, but we want everyone to be able to play on anything that they've got. So you could, in effect, and potentially have a better gaming experience streaming it rather than you would playing on the original Xbox, if that's the console that you've got.
Yeah, it's great just everybody being invited into a community like that. them offering features that well, they're not going to gain any money from doing such initiatives. Like they aren't going to make money from it, but they're just going to do it to be more inclusive to their ecosystem again.
They're definitely gonna make money.
Yeah, well, no, not from
monthly
subscriptions. They lose money from all of the adaptive controller stuff, but they just do it for the benefit, essentially.
Yeah,
it's essentially a charity.
Yeah, but they still might end up paying a monthly subscription, and that's what Microsoft want. They're a service industry, not a hardware industry.
I suppose, but when you consider the amount of research and development that's required, I don't think that the amount of extra subscriptions they'll get would really move the needle.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Also, it just fits back into that envelope of having backwards compatible games as well, just to cater to all of those niche people.
Bloody old people with your memories and your nostalgia.
All right, gentlemen, we are coming up on an hour. Do we have any final thoughts?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to buy a next-gen console. I haven't decided which one yet.
I'm looking forward to the Skyrim Station 3000 that plays only Skyrim.
Every edition of Skyrim.
Yeah, and Fallout 76 as well. Although you can only play it with Fallout first, of course.
No, the Fallout 76 is $100 a month to play that game.
Yeah.
You need to drink Nuka-Cola, which they're bringing out.
Oh, no.
It's only $7 a can. And if you trade in all your ring pulls, you get £5 a month off.
Well, going off all of their previous merchandise failures, I'm sure it won't cause lung cancer.
That's pretty harsh.
Royally screwed up all of their previous merchandise.
Was it pneumonia?
Pneumonia?
Was it giving those the helmets? Giving
no,
people pneumonia?
Was it? I don't remember anything that bad. Just because people had I think it was the Fallout alcohol wine or something, and it tasted disgusting. It was like the worst thing ever. People just this ain't any good. They got given duffel bags that were pieces of shit, like the bags that they got in the special editions for the games, and all of the stuff. Everybody had criticism through the roof on all of their merchandise, and it didn't even arrive on time. So yeah, don't trust Bethesda when it comes to merchandise.
And on that note, don't trust Bethesda, I guess.
I guess not until they release a good game. Doom doesn't count.
Well, it's not a Bethesda game, isn't it? It's software. Yeah, but it's not Bethesda.
I suppose, but they're the only company that can seem to get around their bullshit.